Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. We had a fantastic beginning to the NBA Cup. So much fun last night. The Warriors and the Mavs in particular. That game was awesome, but we had a number of awesome games. A big mistake by Eric Spoelstra, too. I guess we'll probably have to talk about that. Yikes, Chris Webber did. We'll chat about that. Plus, of course, more injury news. A weird plan for Bronny James, too. I don't even know what my Lakers are doing here. We're going to talk a bit about that and a lot more. So make sure you guys do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Podcast listeners, follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Keith, I guess let's just start here. We finished the show yesterday saying, I just hope we get through the night's games without any more injuries. And no joke, before the games even started, we had another injury announced, and that was Emmanuel Quickly. Dealing with, unfortunately, it sounds like it's only like a week or so absent, but a partially torn UCL. That does not sound good.
Yeah, so it's an elbow injury. It sounds like that's, I know, one of those things, like, it's just different sports, right? But in like baseball, this is something that, it sounds like would sideline a guy for months, if not the entire season. And in basketball, they're like, yeah, it'll be reevaluated in a week or so. So yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, you texted me because you saw it before I did, and we're like, we didn't even make it to tip off. And I was like, oh no. And then when we looked, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, it's just, hey, this is getting ridiculous at this point. I mean, and the Raptors too, like, they're like basically almost unwatchable right now because they don't have a lot of playmakers. I mean, guys are playing very hard, so I give them credit for that. But they're rough right now. 85 points last night against the Bucks. Like, if you can't crack 90 in this day and age in the NBA, like, you're struggle city. So it is what it is, but we'll see. Hopefully he'll get healthy soon, and hopefully eventually we'll see some games with him and Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett all together. But here we go again with yet another injury update.
I'll tell you this, Keith. Given the injuries that we've been talking about, and I looked it up yesterday. I believe there was a Yahoo article that said that right now, in terms of star level players, they're only playing in 78% of their games right now. So basically, if you buy tickets to a game, there's a 1 in 5 chance that the star you really wanted to go see is not playing in that game. That's created a lot of negativity around the league, and of course, even the show, we've been talking all about injuries. Weren't the games last night just like a breath of fresh air? I mean, I know. Besides, I know your Celtics lost by a point to the Hawks, and that was like that's going to obviously weigh your evening down. But just in general, looking at the entire NBA, it just felt like such a fun night of basketball, especially closing it out the way that we did with that Mavs. I'm like, man, like, as a basketball fan base, we needed this.
Yeah, the games were really fun, and the games largely this year have been really fun. I think some of the guys being out have created almost a more competitive environment on some teams. I mean, I know Cavs fans are like, well, we're killing everybody. And it's like, yeah, that's definitely true. You have been, and the Thunder have been kind of rolling over teams as well, West. But for the most part, it's been a lot of really close games. And that's fun. I will get drawn into a Raptors Jazz game if it's close at the end, because it's close. I want to see what they come up with and how they play it out. So yeah, but last night's games were fun. I think the added NBA Cup, the Celtics broadcast was making the joke, but then multiple broadcasts were like, well, it's the NBA Cup, anything can happen, right? And it was just kind of having a little bit of fun with it. But there is a little bit of truth. Like, some of these teams were going pretty hard to try and win, and that'll only amp up as, like, Atlanta, for example. They beat Boston now. They could somehow pull off a win over the Cavs. You better believe they're going to play really hard, because for them, this is a chance to win something when they may not even make the playoffs. So why not, really push kind of hard with that. Did you see the Dyson Daniels stat? Have you? I don't know if you ran across that. So he had 6 steals last night against the Celtics.
Isn't that's like 4 or 5 games in a row now?
Third game with at least 6 steals in a row.
God.
And he's in the one before that, he had like 4 or 5.
That's it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah, he's just, and it's just super aggressive defense. But what's really exciting is he's he's playing super confidently on offense too. Like he just looks like a completely different player. And my guess is this is the Olympics carryover, right? He played such a big role for Team Australia in the Olympics, and that's carried into the season. He's shooting with confidence. He has that kind of funky runner floater
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's not really like the traditional floater nor runner because he kind of shoots it really low and flips it up there kind of oddly, but it's really effective and goes in. And then defensively, he's been an absolute monster. So that Hawks team's kind of fun. With or without Trae Young, and they're generally without Trae Young, they've not been very good nor very fun. So it was Celtics played like crap. They allowed the Hawks got 25 more shots than the
Ooh.
Celtics did last night because the Hawks had 20 offensive rebounds and
Oh my
Boston
God.
had 20 turnovers. So that's how you balance that out right
Dude,
there. So
let me say that given those two stats, losing by one is actually really good. Like you would think you got blown out if you give up 20 offensive rebounds and had that many turns. So that's actually pretty good.
How does the free
All
throw
things
margin and the
considered.
3-point margin? That wiped it all away
Yeah.
completely. And they lost because the Hawks' last possession, Celtics gave up an offensive rebound and the Hawks tipped it in. Celtics' last shot, they turned it over and didn't even get the last shot off. So that's, well, I guess next to last because they did get a weird play where Jaylen Brown was saving a ball. They blew an inadvertent whistle and he didn't throw it back in. And it ended up with Boston. And then Brown got the final shot off. But the main ending of the game was an offensive rebound tip in and then a turnover. So it basically told the story of the entire game in a span of 2 possessions, and they lost. But you're gonna have those games every year. We're gonna. The guy I heard say this quote, we're going to talk about him in a minute, was Greg Popovich. This was several years ago. It was at a Magic game. And he said, he was asked, the Spurs had just played like complete garbage the night before and lost. And he said, in every season, you're going to have 8 or so games where you can't do anything right and you lose. And you're also going to have 8 or so games where you can't do anything wrong and you win. The season's really decided in the games in between those. And I really think that's true. It's a long season. Every once in a while, you're going to have a game where it just all kind of goes to crap and you end up losing. And that's, what it is. But there's a subset of fans who believe it's Boston season is now over. And
the sky's falling.
Yeah, hand the conference to the Cavs and might as well go in the tank for Cooper Flag, I guess. That's where they seem
might
to
as
be
well. Capture the
at.
flag.
That's it.
Capture the flag. Keith, crazy stat here. So Dyson Daniels is averaging 2.9 assists per game, which is not bad. Not bad. I mean, maybe low for a point guard, but he's a 6'8" point guard. Right. Yeah. He's more an off-ball guy. Not bad. He's averaging 3.6 steals.
Yeah.
How often is it that you see a non-wing player, like a guard, average more steals than assists? That's got to be a fairly rare thing, I would have to imagine.
Yeah, he is like right there for the record. Zach Lowe, who, even though he's not writing and podcasting, he's still tweeting once in a while. And he tweeted this morning, that is like, I think it's 0.1 off. Alvin Robertson, steals have only been a tracked category since the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Alvin Robertson, I believe, has the steals per game record at 3.7. So Dyson Daniels is like historic level on forcing turnovers and coming up with steals. So it's something to keep an eye on the rest of the way because why not? It's working.
Yeah.
Keep getting after it.
Pretty incredible stuff from him. All right, you mentioned
Can I do another fun stat before we move on?
Yeah.
I tweeted this one out. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the AJ Green thing?
No, I didn't see it.
So AJ Green for the Milwaukee Bucks. No, not the former Bengals wide receiver. They call him. So here's the funny thing. Do you know what his nickname is?
No. What is it?
The Bucks fans are calling him Dairy Bird. So, like Wisconsin Dairy. So that's really funny. Like that just makes me laugh every time I see it.
That's
he
awesome.
has taken 52 shots this year. All of them 3-pointers. He has not taken a single 2-pointer yet. So he's taken 52 shots, all of them threes thus far. on the season. He's 27 for 52. He's 2 for 2 on free throws. That's a 78.5 true shooting percentage, which values the shots worth how much each shot is worth there when you do that formula. So that is the longest stretch that anyone has ever had to start a season of only 3-point shots without a single two. In his career, he's 140 for 326 on threes. That's pretty good, right? That's a really good percentage.
Yeah.
He's 23 for 47 on 2-pointers. So talk about the taking the specialist role and blowing it out big time. It reminds me of there's a guy who played for Oakland University in the NCAA. He took 257 shots his senior year, all of them 3-pointers. Do you know this guy's name?
No, it needs to have the word 3 in it, though.
It doesn't, but it's the perfect basketball name. His name is Max Hooper.
Hooper. I like it.
Max Hooper. And he took 257 shots. He only took 11 twos like his entire collegiate career. But everything else was a million 3-pointers that he took. That was probably we're probably about a decade or so ago now that happened. But yeah, but AJ Green replicating it in the NBA and starting and playing well for the Bucks. He's doing some stuff. So just thought that was fun. We're throwing out a couple fun little stats there, and why not get that one in the mix?
That's like that's like beyond final season of his career, Jason Kidd, who took 325 threes and 409 total field goals.
Yeah.
So of the 409, 325 were 3-point attempts.
And they were all spot up threes too. Because he was not creating off the dribble shots.
No, he was not.
At that point,
he was not. Okay, let's get to an update on Greg Popovich. The Spurs did announce today. Remember, he had an illness, they were calling it. He was going to be away from the team. We find out that he did have a mild stroke, and he is expected to fully recover. But obviously, best wishes to Greg Popovich, one of the great coaches in NBA history, one of the great personalities around the game, and certainly, unfortunate to hear that was, what happened with him, and I hope that he can be back quickly.
Yeah, and the press release from the team says he's already on the way to making a full recovery. Obviously, no timeline on when he'll be back working with the team. They did say that it did take place at their arena. There was a home game that night. He was already in the arena, which if this is going to happen, that's outside of being in an actual hospital, probably not the worst place for this to happen, because there's going to be a ton of people around, a ton of medical personnel around, just because there always is inside an arena at a basketball game. So I think, very fortunate in that sense, better than, being at home by yourself or something like that. So, we, obviously wish nothing but the best to Greg Popovich, and can't wait to see him back on the sideline again, soon here. But, it's just, one of those, another reminder of, do the best to take care of yourself. And, then if anything's going on, get it checked and all that stuff. And sounds like he's in good hands and he'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So wish a speedy recovery to Greg Popovich. Keith, weird story came out today. Bronny James, according to Brian Windhorst, is not going to be playing road games for the South Bay Lakers. And I talked about this a little bit already today for Lakers Nation, but I can't figure out why. Like, I don't understand who benefits from him not playing. It's not Bronny who needs the time to develop. It's not LeBron, unless maybe he just wants his kid around more often, I guess. It's not the Lakers, certainly, because one of their draft picks isn't getting time on the court to develop in the G, which is exactly where Bronny needs to be. It's definitely not the South Bay Lakers or the G League in general, who sell way more tickets when Bronny is playing in the game. I can't make sense of this. Why would this be a thing?
And yeah, I wish I had an answer for you, because I'm in the same place as you are. It's unless there's some thought around this is going to protect him somehow, or allow him to develop better by controlling his environment. I don't really know. That it seems like to me the baseline should be go get as many reps as you can get, right? I want you playing. I want every guy on every team that is like roughly the 13th to 15th man and then obviously the two-way guys, but the 13th to 15th man, if they can go play in the G League, go play. And that accepts like the ones who are just veteran guys at the end of benches, obviously. But
Yeah.
if these are young guys in their first few years in the league, get in the G League, take those reps, right? Play, develop, because you're only going to get better through those process. Now, I gotta wonder, is there part of it of, hey, we want them close so we can have them on the NBA roster when we need them? And right now, obviously, that would be a thing for the Lakers because they're running out of healthy bodies. So you're going to have the G League guys on roster more. But yeah, if the general plan is to not play any road games, like, I don't know. I don't really get it. And I want to hear the reasoning from it, from beyond just throwing it out there as he's not going to play any road games and then kind of leaving it at that. I would like to hear the actual reasoning behind that from the team and all the parties involved.
And I talked about this on another show earlier today as well. And I just like there has to be something. And I can't figure out what that is. But obviously this isn't something you do just because, no, just for fun. We just decided, we're not gonna have them play road. So there's a reason for this. I just don't know what that reason is. And like you said, I'd be very curious to find out why this is the case. Because Keith, I think this is, the South Bay Lakers, G League games aren't necessarily well attended, and the South Bay Lakers sold out their first game with Bronny. And so this is not just a Bronny's development. That should be, of course, the primary focus is Bronny's development, but also think about the G League itself. Think about the missed opportunities to get fans engaged and excited about a G League game that you don't get now because he's not going to be there for these road games. It's again, to me, there's a lot more negative here than positive. But again, like I said, I would like to hear a reason why they're going this route.
Yeah, in case people don't really know and don't follow it, because I get it, right? Not a lot of people do. The South Bay Lakers play in the Lakers training facility.
Yeah.
So they play their games there. They play in the smallest facility of anybody. They only sell, it's less than 1,000 public tickets to their games anyway. So it's not like we're even saying like it's going to be these massive crowds that turn out, because it's a practice facility. It's not.
But the media turnout was huge, even
exactly.
For that. Like it draws so much attention.
Yeah, like it's so now to me that almost says like it's going to make more of a circus for their home games, because if let's say the Lakers do get healthy and they're just kind of rolling along in the season, there's not going to be a lot of room to play Bronny in the NBA anyway, and so he's going to see most of his action in the G League. And at that point, I think what ends up happening is the idea then is like, all right, well, he's playing. We haven't seen him play in 3 weeks because he was with the Lakers and not playing, or now the South Bay's finally home. That's just going to create more of a media circus because it's what does he look like and all those things. For me, I go back to the biggest thing is you're robbing a young player of reps. And that's the part that really makes no sense to me. Like, fine if it's all the other stuff, and I'm with you. Like, other teams lose out on, people would turn out to see him. But yeah, it's just a loss of reps for him. That part, I don't know, just doesn't. Nothing jumps out at me as, all right, I get it. Like, this is why you would do that. Like, I don't know, and I'll ask some folks and see if I can get a answer, because maybe there's something we're missing. Right.
Sure.
And it does make sense.
Could be.
But as of right now, I really don't get it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Again, like I said, it's very possible, because I don't want to just rip the organization. Like, oh, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. Like a lot of I'm sure the hot take shows are doing today, because there is a reason. It would be different, Keith, if we knew the reason and we said, oh, that's a really dumb reason. You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't make any sense. Whereas right now we really don't know. So it's a different story if it's Bronny doesn't like being away from his dad, right? Or something like that. And so that's where, and I'm just making that up, but that's where we get into the ridiculous, and you go, okay, well, that's insane. And there's no reason why that should be preventing him from playing in road games. We just don't know what the reason. Maybe there is something legitimate. We just don't know what it is. Okay. Let's jump over to the Milwaukee Bucks, who picked up a win last night over the Raptors, a much-needed win. Keith, we looked at the 10-game stretch that the Bucks are in right now that are just starting. They need to rack up wins here. Like, if they don't, that's going to be really sound. They've had a terrible start to the season, but this is going to be if they don't rack up a ton of wins during the next 10 games, this is going to be a sound the alarm situation. But doesn't seem like firing Doc Rivers, which I've had some people talking about, that conversation's been going on around social media. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the path that they're going to go down here.
Yeah, one of those combo pieces from The Athletic. It's Eric Name, who is the beat writer for the Bucks, and then Sam Amick, who covers the NBA in general and is one of the more reliable insiders on the NBA. They teamed up to do one of those duo pieces, and in there, one of the things that came out was, John Horst, even if he wants to fire Doc Rivers, doesn't have the leverage to do it. He can't make that decision himself. That says to me, oh, wait a minute. Now we're not giving the GM or whatever his title may be, but functionally GM, the ability to move on from the coach. Like, now let's be very clear. Coaches don't get fired without ownership saying okay. Right. Like,
Correct.
But if John Horst walks into Bucks ownership tomorrow and says, I want to fire Doc Rivers, you would hope the answer would be, okay, well, it's why. All right, go ahead. Like, if you think that's what's best, we pay you to run the basketball operation. Go do it. It sounds like that's not the case. It sounds like it is. He'd really have to plead his case why that would be a thing. And personally, I don't know that firing Doc Rivers is going to fix all that much. I would, it might, because let's face it, the team was better under Adrian Griffin than they've been under Doc Rivers. But yeah, it's just weird vibes out of Milwaukee. Like, just everything just seems really off with them. There was also a note in the piece, I believe, about they're not expected to entertain any kind of offers for Giannis or Dame right now, which we kind of knew. But they are looking for ways to upgrade the roster. But kind of good luck. Like, you're almost out of tradable assets, and you're a second apron team. So not really sure how they're going to pull that off either. It's just weird stuff going on in Milwaukee.
And this is after back-to-back first-round exits the last two seasons. We'll see if they can find their way out of this. I mean, really the only way to fix things in Milwaukee is to win. You win games, you find a way to win games, and all this stuff will quiet down. But until then, there's going to be more comments and questions about Giannis and his availability. Might he ask for a trade at some point? I mean, the players are going to get frustrated, and they've got to get things back on track. Like I said, this stretch, very, very important in their schedule. All right, speaking of teams that have underperformed up to this point, the Sixers, they're a little bit different, though, due to injuries.
Yeah.
But no Joel Embiid, no Paul George. I would have to imagine the likelihood of the Cavs, you never say never in the NBA, but the likelihood of the Cavs winning streak coming to an end tonight, probably pretty slim, given that the Sixers are missing everybody. The Cavs are an 11.5-point favorite in tonight's game. Again, no Embiid, no Maxey, no Paul George. You never know. Well, I mean, the Hawks didn't have Trae Young, and they beat the Celtics. So you never know in the NBA. But the Sixers are in a tough spot, and now they don't have all three of their guys for this one tonight. Certainly not the situation that they were hoping to be in here this early in the season.
Yeah, you said no Embiid, no George, no Maxey. No me either. I'm not watching this game. I'll watch it tomorrow if there's a reason to.
Sure.
If they give me a reason, or if it's close, I'll catch the end of it. But yeah, they are. Let's see. Let me make sure I get this right. They're 2-8. So really, all that saved them is the Raptors stink a little bit worse and have played a couple more games. But 2-8 is tied for the second worst record in the NBA, behind the Raptors and tied with the Jazz. So that's, I mean, at some point you got to start winning games, right? Because Philly's pick is they have it if it's in the top 6. If they don't, I'll give you one guess who it goes to.
We know where that is going to find out.
Goes to Oklahoma City. Do you know why, though? Do you know how OKC got that pick?
How would OKC have gotten that one?
This will just piss off Sixer fans even more.
Did they absorb salary in a trade?
Yep.
They absorbed salary in a deal. Was it in the? Oh God, was it? Did they absorb salary in the James Harden trade?
No. It was the Al Horford salary dump to
The
OKC.
Al Horford salary dump?
Yes, that's where that pick came from. So,
Wow.
yeah, could you imagine if that's like 7th or 8th and you give it off to OKC? Because, why not, I guess. But
Yeah.
anyway, I I'm not this isn't a criticism of Philly. Maxi's legitimately hurt now. I get why you're not going to push Paul George and Joel Embiid, but you got to start winning some games. Like where you cannot get to the 20 game mark and be like 6-14 and feel really good about where you're going as a team. And that would be going 4-6 over the next 10. And that doesn't look overly likely right now. Given some of the constraints they're working under. So you gotta start banking some wins somewhere along the line and really start pushing because you get in the deeper we get. I get it's the East. No one has run away from each other, and you're pulling up
Mm-hmm.
the standings now. So I fully understand, right? They are 3 games out of 3rd place at 2-8. So
It's insane.
I get it, right? But
Right.
the reality is, though, we're starting to see some of these teams will start winning more games, right? And
Yes.
playing better.
It's not going to be like this all
So
season.
exactly. So you're going to put yourself in a spot where you're probably working through the play-in tournament if you don't start stacking some wins here. So that's tough. And tanking is harder for them because of that top 6 protection. Now, top 4 is decided by the lottery, so you really got to be one of the worst 2 to make sure you keep your pick. But are you really going to bottom out that far and be one of the
No.
bottom 2 teams in the league? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think tanking is anywhere near the
No,
minds of the
of
76ers
course.
right now. They're gonna do everything they can to win. They're just right now it's our season starts when our guys get back, when our guys return. My hope is that because we're a couple weeks away from Maxi returning. My hope is that it's not a ships passing in the night thing where Maxi's back, but guess what? Joel Embiid's out again, or Paul George is out again, or something that's what we're going to be doing, just kind of playing leapfrog for these 3 guys all the way throughout the season. And next thing you know, you really do start running. I mean, they still probably make the play, but at what point do you get to where, we had a total of like 15 games or 20 games where the 3 of them played together, and now they're expected to play together in a playoff setting and compete and win? That's a really tough scenario.
Yeah, and what did we say yesterday? We both said 30-ish.
Yeah.
The rest of the way feels about how many they might play together. So yeah, I think that's pretty spot on there. I think it's like in losing games like last night. I get it. The Knicks are not a bad team, so that's
Sure.
a tough team. It was Embiid's first time out. He looked predictably really bad. I think it was the way
He's rusty.
he's rusty, but also just not moving great. Like I don't know how really ready he is, or maybe this just is what he is now. I really don't know what to expect out of that, but I would expect it to be far better moving forward. But yeah, this is a tough spot for Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Who knows where we end up with this team? I'm going to be very curious. And then, do you hit a point where it is, all right, we are going to play some back to backs because you know what? Now we're in
We have to.
March and we want to make the playoffs, like because we've already won too much to not make the playoffs. So let's try to get in. Like, yeah, just a weird situation all around.
Absolutely. They're very strange for the 76ers to deal with. And I mean, all I can say, Keith, for everybody around the league, get healthy.
Yeah.
So many guys out. So many guys out right now. Everybody across the league. Let's get healthy, turn off the injuries, and let's have a fun season. But everybody,
I'm very much not looking forward to ending this recording and within an hour or two finding out somebody else is out. Like it's just
with our luck, it's going to be like within 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, and then people being, why didn't you talk about this situation in the comments? Because it's like we didn't know.
It hadn't happened yet. There's depends on what's going on, but there's not a super long turnaround time for the show to get out. But still, you never know what can happen. It's this crazy league of ours. This crazy league.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, it's I really I'm very interested. I do want to address one other thing. Just because a couple people put it in the show comments. Yeah, we didn't talk about the Kyle Singler stuff because I don't know what they're is to talk about other than I hope he gets the help it seems like he needs. That's really all I would say on that one is I really hope somebody close to him gets to him. He clearly hopefully he understands how much he means to a lot of people in the basketball world, just the number of players and coaches and people who've been around him through basketball reaching out to him directly on his Instagram videos. They've all been kind of cryptic and weird, and he's obviously going through something. So, but yeah, we're not gonna do much more on that because I don't know how much more we'd add, but I'm just hopeful he gets the help he needs.
Absolutely. That's a great point to finish this off with. Yeah. Hopefully he does get the support and everything else that he needs, and whatever it is that's going on is rectified.
Yep.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you joining. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on those notifications as well. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.